Welcome to Wispy History, where the past drifts softly through the veil of time and stories unfold like forgotten dreams. Each night, we journey together through the echoes of history, tales of empires, philosophers, inventors, and mysteries that shaped our world, one whispered story at a time. Before we begin, take a moment, breathe in, settle down, and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is there. I love knowing how far our quiet community reaches. If you'd like to keep these stories alive, you can support Wispy History by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Now, find a comfortable spot, close your eyes, and let your mind drift as we step softly into tonight's story. Tonight we follow the life of a man whose curiosity never seemed to sleep. Leonardo da Vinci was an artist, yes, but also a thinker, a watcher of clouds, a designer of bridges, and a quiet student of how the heart pumps blood and how light falls on stone. He once said that experience is the true teacher of all things, and he spent his days testing that belief. He lived more than 5 centuries ago, and yet he still feels close to us. In the quiet between breaths, in the soft turning of a page in a pencil held over paper, he is there. As you listen, let time slow. Let the noise of today fade. We begin in a small Tuscan town surrounded by olive groves and rolling hills, where a child is born and the world, though he does not yet know it, is waiting. Leonardo is born on April 15th, 1452. The midwife records his arrival in Vinci, not far from Florence. He is the son of Ser Piero, a respected notary, and a woman named Caterina. They are not married. Leonardo is raised mostly by his father's family, a household with gardens, animals, and tools. He grows up with freedom and the countryside as his first teacher. He watches water running over stones. He notices how birds tilt their wings to change direction. He studies the faces of neighbors and wonders what thoughts lie underneath. There is no sign yet that history will remember him. As he grows, people notice that he draws constantly, even with a stick in dust if no paper can be found. His father sees the talent in the sketches and takes them to a master artist in Florence, Andrea del Verrocchio. Florence at that time is a place where beauty and invention walk every street. Churches rise in marble, architects argue about domes, sculptors shape saints and heroes, goldsmiths hammer necklaces that catch the light. And in the center of it all, the Medici family encourages art, learning, and new ideas. Leonardo enters Verrocchio's workshop as a teenager. Inside are canvases, pigments, chisels, students sanding wood, preparing colors, mixing plaster. He learns how to grind lapis lazuli into blue powder, how to draw a horse that seems to breathe, how to sculpt a figure, turning slightly so the body feels alive. He studies perspective, how lines meet at a distance. He studies anatomy, how a knee bends, how a smile lifts. His notebooks begin to fill, curiosity wide and restless. He writes right to left, a habit he keeps throughout life. Verrocchio trusts him more and more. On one shared painting, The Baptism of Christ, Leonardo is said to have painted an angel so delicate, so full of nature, that Verrocchio decided he would paint no more. It may be a legend, but the message is true. Leonardo's skill grows quickly. Yet commissions do not always come easily. He begins grand works and leaves them unfinished. His ideas rush ahead faster than the days will let him paint. Still, he stays attentive. He sketches inventions, machines that can lift, turn, fly. He watches water swirl in cups and imagines canals that could nourish fields. Sometimes he buys caged birds and releases them, just to watch them take to the air. He writes of the joy of nature, and also of the shortness of life. As his reputation grows, so does his ambition. He dreams of challenges larger than Florence can offer. He writes a letter to the Duke of Milan, listing his talents. Military engineering first, painting almost as an afterthought. Soon, he will leave the city of his youth behind. His life will change, and the world will feel the effects. We follow him north, toward stone castles, armored soldiers, and a place where he will finally find the scale his visions require. Leonardo leaves Florence behind and travels to Milan, arriving around 1482. The journey takes him through valleys and mountains, further from the warmth of the familiar and deeper into the world of powerful rulers and competing ambitions. The Duke of Milan, Ludovico Sforza, called Il Moro, governs a wealthy and complex court. He values grandeur, parades, music, architecture, and displays of innovation that show Milan's strength. Leonardo's letter to him promised military machines, armored vehicles, bridges that can be moved in an instant, and strategies of defense. He also mentions painting and sculpture, almost modestly. The Duke welcomes him, and so Leonardo begins his longest period in one place. His role in Milan is not a single job, it is a spectrum: engineer, stage designer, sculptor, painter. Whatever the court dreams, Leonardo tries to give shape. For a time, his most ambitious project is not a painting, but a monument, a giant bronze horse honoring Ludovico's father, so large that people call it the Great Horse. Leonardo studies horses from every angle, drawing muscles, bones, hooves in motion. He develops new casting techniques. Clay grows into the shape of power. It stands enormous in the courtyard, only a model, not yet bronze, but already legendary. But bronze is needed for war more than for sculpture. When enemies threaten Milan, the metal set aside for the horse is taken to make cannon. The dream waits in silence. Leonardo does not pause. He plans canals that could change the land, bringing water where people live and crops grow. He advises on architecture and fortifications. He designs court celebrations, mechanical lions that open to reveal lilies, costumes with wings and stars. He observes constantly. People in the market, soldiers on horseback, washers kneeling by the river. He writes down everything: a face, a gesture, how light strikes a wall. The notebooks of these years are full of life. Then comes a commission unlike any other. A mural for the refectory, the dining hall of the monastery of Santa Maria delle Grazie. He chooses the moment after Jesus announces that one of the apostles will betray him, the Last Supper. He gives each disciple a distinct reaction: surprise, sorrow, anger, disbelief. Hands reach, bodies turn, eyes confront or hide. The table feels real, the space deep, the story immediate. Leonardo paints slowly, testing, adjusting, letting thought guide the brush. He experiments with technique, searching for depth and softness on a wall surface. Years pass, monks grow impatient, but Leonardo pursues an image that captures more than sight, an image of human uncertainty and emotion. When he finishes, those who see it fall silent. Even now, though time and decay have left marks, its presence is undeniable. Voices and feelings remain in the scene. While this masterpiece takes shape, the world around him shifts. Court politics tighten like a rope. Alliances change. Armies are never far away. In 1499, French forces invade Milan. Ludovico Sforza loses power. The court breaks apart. Leonardo must leave again. He packs his belongings, tools, manuscripts, paintings, and steps away from the life he built. The great horse, still only clay, becomes a target of soldiers and is destroyed. His work, once protected by the high walls of the Duke's palace, is now scattered. But Leonardo continues onward. Curiosity does not retreat. He travels through Mantua and Venice. In Venice, he studies defense of the city, imagining ways to protect the vulnerable lagoon. He writes of water, its force and currents. He observes tides and storms. But Milan had been home for 17 years. Leaving it is a quiet sorrow. Still, the journey ahead calls. Soon a new opportunity appears, one that will send him alongside a powerful figure through lands shaped by conflict and ambition. He will walk with soldiers and engineers, and his maps will become as important as his paintings. And so he sets his path once more, guided by the principles that have carried him this far. See what others do not. Learn from the world every day. Let invention answer the needs of life. He is no longer simply an artist. He is a wanderer with skills that cities and armies will seek. His next chapter belongs to the roads and rivers of Italy, and to a leader known for both boldness and fear. The The fall of Milan scatters Leonardo into motion again. He travels with a small group, assistants, instruments, notebooks, following roads that curve through towns and countryside. In his notes, he describes things he sees: the pattern of a hillside, the way a river turns, the wings of a bird mid-flight. For a time, he is welcomed in Mantua, where Marchesa Isabella d'Este asks for a portrait. He sketches her in chalk, thoughtful eyes, a balanced pose. She admires his talent, but Leonardo does not stay. Stability feels far away. Venice calls next. The city is a marvel of water, its foundations resting on the sea. Here, Leonardo offers advice on the defense of the lagoon. He proposes underwater barriers to protect the city from attack. He sketches new ideas, always trying to shape the world to human needs. But no single place holds him long. By 1502, he has accepted a position under Cesare Borgia, Duke of Valentinois, a powerful and ambitious commander whose campaigns reshape central Italy. Cesare's reputation is fierce. He fights with strategy and determination, expanding his territory through both politics and force. Leonardo becomes his chief military engineer. The work is demanding. Leonardo surveys fortresses, inspects walls, observes the flow of rivers near cities at risk. He moves from stronghold to stronghold, often on horseback, tools strapped behind him. Soldiers treat him with a mix of curiosity and respect. This quiet man with ink-stained hands who sees danger before it arrives. During these months, Leonardo produces some of the most accurate maps of his era. He marks roads and bridges, hills and valleys. He measures distances carefully. His maps are clear and geometric, designed not just to describe, but to decide where armies will move. He studies nature even in war. He writes about the force of water, how to redirect its flow. He sketches machines that can lift stones or dismantle walls. He watches how people respond to fear and how leaders command. At night, in small quarters, he writes quietly about the shapes of hills and the structure of plants, proof that the natural world still claims part of his mind, even in conflict. He does not always agree with Borgia's methods. Where the commander is sharp and quick, Leonardo believes in careful thought. But he respects efficiency, and he learns much about power and the price of power by watching from inside the machinery of conquest. By the end of 1503, this chapter is over. Cesare Borgia's fortunes begin to shift. Political alliances turn. Leonardo steps away before the fall becomes too steep. He returns to Florence. Older now, his knowledge expanded, his confidence in the breadth of his abilities strengthened. He has walked through war and remained an observer more than a participant. Florence welcomes him again, though time has changed the city. Michelangelo is rising in fame, brilliant, intense, competitive. Sculptors and painters push boundaries every season. Ideas move quickly, and challenges present themselves. One of those challenges is a new commission, a painting that will slowly become the most famous portrait in the world. And another, an enormous wall, waiting for images of struggle and motion. But before those works fill his days, Leonardo visits his father's land, reconnects with past streets, and perhaps wonders what remains of his early self. He has traveled far, but his journey is not finished. His next works will not be measured in fortresses or maps. They will be measured in the tilt of a smile, the rise of dust on a battlefield, painted battles that live in silence. It is the beginning of another turning point. Florence will test him, and he will leave marks that last centuries. He has returned home, but he is no longer the apprentice who once left. He is Leonardo, known across Italy, sought for his vision, and yet there is always something unfinished ahead of him. Florence, once the place of Leonardo's youth, now feels changed, and so does he. He returns in 1503 as a mature master, known in courts and cities, yet still searching for the next great challenge. The city is alive with art. Michelangelo is sculpting a massive block of marble that will become David, a symbol of the city's strength and independence. Young Raphael is studying composition in space, learning from everything around him. The artistic energy is intense, almost competitive. Leonardo receives a new portrait commission, Lisa Gherardini, wife of a Florentine merchant named Francesco del Giocondo. We do not know whether she smiled as she posed or whether Leonardo suggested the expression. We know only what the painting tells us: a softness around the mouth, a glance that follows you gently, a landscape that winds into quiet distance. He does not rush this portrait. Layers build slowly, the thin glazes of color creating life beneath the surface. He carries the painting with him for years, adjusting and refining long after sitting sessions end. Today, we call it Mona Lisa. While he works on the portrait, the city offers another enormous task: a mural in the council hall of the Palazzo Vecchio, celebrating Florence's victory over Milan. The subject, the Battle of Anghiari. Leonardo envisions the chaos of conflict: horses rearing, soldiers grappling, fabric twisting in motion. He studies the anatomy of horses intensely, visiting stables and sketching quickly as animals move. He explores experimental methods to paint the scene on a dry wall, seeking rich color and dramatic depth. But the method proves unstable. Paint refuses to cooperate. Moisture and temperature ruin sections before they fully set. He tries to correct it. Heat lamps, new mixtures, nothing holds. Yet even unfinished, the cartoon, the preparatory drawing, is praised as a work of power and invention. Young artists come to study the figures and gestures. Raphael is among them. What remains inspires many, though the final mural is eventually lost under later work. Despite the setbacks, Leonardo continues to plan and design. He works on engineering projects for the city, including ideas for redirecting the Arno River to provide better access to the sea. He dreams large, always connecting art and science. But Florence, with its brilliant artists and shifting politics, cannot fully contain him. He feels tied down by disputes and delays. He writes of unfinished tasks, of time slipping forward. His mind wants space to explore without argument or expectation pressing in. Requests come again from Milan, now under French rule. Patrons there remember what he created before and ask him to return. And perhaps he misses the city where his horse once stood, the colleagues he knew, the pace that suited his experiments. Florence has given him new masterpieces and fresh challenges, but the chapter is coming to an end. Leonardo prepares once more to move north. He does not take the Mona Lisa to deliver to its commissioner. He brings it with him, still a work in progress, still evolving. As he leaves, the city continues changing. Michelangelo's fame rises higher. Younger artists push forward. Florence remains a cradle for greatness, but Leonardo prefers the open road and the promise of new environments. He leaves quietly, as he often does, with tools and notebooks packed, with questions still echoing louder than conclusions. He is older now, yet fire remains in him, curiosity that wants answers from nature itself. His next period will delve deep into the mysteries of the human body, the movement of water, and the way light travels into the eye. Once again, the world opens before him. We follow him back to Milan, new rulers, new work, new thoughts approaching the edge of what the era can understand. Leonardo returns to Milan around 1506. The city is different now, no longer ruled by the Sforza family, but by the French. Still, many there remember the man who helped shape its culture. He is welcomed back as a respected master. Here, Leonardo divides his time between art and investigation. He paints portraits, including one known as Saint John the Baptist, a figure emerging from darkness with a mysterious smile that hints at secrets. He may also be working on the Virgin and Child with Saint Anne around this time, a tender painting of intertwined generations. But painting is no longer his only or even his strongest drive. Curiosity stretches in every direction. He studies anatomy extensively. With permission from hospitals, he performs dissections, an uncommon and delicate practice. He examines muscles, tendons, the chambers of the heart. His drawings are precise, thoughtful. He aims not to shock, but to understand life as it truly works. His observations of the heart, valves, and blood flow are ahead of what medicine will accept for centuries. He notes how bones support and move, how the spine curves, how a fetus rests within the womb. In his notebooks, the body becomes a beautiful machine, complex, balanced, purposeful. He also studies light with equal fascination, how it reflects, how it bends through water and glass, how the eye forms images. He constructs lenses and experiments with mirrors, trying to understand the miracle of sight. In these years, his notebooks are rich with diagrams, ideas, and gentle comments to himself. Some contain reminders. Study the movement of water. Observe how a bird's wings cut through the air. Finish what you have begun, a note he writes often. Though famous, Leonardo sometimes grows frustrated. He finds that his inventions are not always built. His anatomical papers are not published. His insights wait in silence, carefully drawn but unseen. Yet he does not stop. Around 1513, Leonardo moves to Rome, seeking new patronage under the Medici family. The city is crowded with talent. Michelangelo is carving figures for the tomb of Pope Julius II. Raphael is painting rooms in the Vatican. Ambition rises everywhere. Leonardo is given a workshop in the Belvedere court. He continues experiments with machines and optics. He plans new hydraulic systems for the Papal States. But Rome does not feel like Florence or Milan. Competition is stronger. Resources are limited. Political tensions move beneath daily life. Some of Leonardo's projects are questioned or delayed. His dissection work faces restrictions. He may feel that younger artists are celebrated while his own ideas are misunderstood or overlooked. Even so, he remains steady in his routines. Observation guides him. He writes about the shape of raindrops and the branching of trees. He studies fossils in the hills and considers the age of the earth. Time continues to pass. Leonardo is now in his 60s, still sharp, still inventive. Yet he knows that life cannot hold all the plans he has made. Then a new offer arrives, one that promises comfort, respect, and the freedom to focus on what he chooses. The King of France, Francis I, invites him to join his court. The French king admires Leonardo greatly, speaking of him as a wise man and valued thinker. For the last time, Leonardo prepares to leave Italy. He gathers his essential belongings, tools, notebooks, and a small group of paintings, among them the Mona Lisa he never finished giving away. He sets out across the Alps, moving slowly, supported by friends and attendants. His hands ache more now. He writes less steadily, but his eyes are still alert to the world. Ahead lies a gentle chapter, one not of great public commissions, but of peace. A place to rest and to reflect on a long life spent observing everything. He will find a final home among those who honor him, and his story will reach its quiet close there. Leonardo arrives in France around 1516. He is in his mid-60s now, his beard full and white, his walk slower, but his presence is still dignified, and his mind remains full of questions and quiet wonder. King Francis I greets him warmly. The king is young, ambitious, and deeply interested in art, science, and engineering. To him, Leonardo is not simply a painter. He is a mind unlike any other. Francis refers to him as my father at times, a sign of great respect. Leonardo is given a comfortable home at Clos-Lucé, near the Grand Château of Amboise in the Loire Valley. The residence has gardens and peaceful rooms suited for thinking. It becomes the final workshop of his life. Here, he is free from the pressures of enormous commissions. He is not rushed. He is not argued with. He is valued for his wisdom more than for any specific task. He continues to draw and design. He oversees pageants and architectural ideas for the French court. He refines old concepts, bridges, waterways, mechanical devices, capturing each one carefully in his notebooks. Some medical issues begin to trouble him. His right hand grows weaker, limiting his ability to paint, but he can still think with clarity and still guide assistants in executing ideas. In these rooms, he keeps a few precious paintings, works he has carried for years. Mona Lisa, St. John the Baptist, the Virgin and Child with St. Anne. He continues to adjust them as he wishes, even now. Visitors travel long distances to speak with him. Poets, architects, and nobles ask for advice. Francis I himself comes often, enjoying conversation about life and nature. In these late years, Leonardo writes about rivers, geology, and the slow shaping of the earth. He studies how water carves valleys and how fossils appear far from the sea. He thinks deeply about the forces that shape mountains and time. He reflects on his life's work, on things finished and unfinished, on ideas that will one day make sense to others. His heart is full of peaceful acceptance. His loyal pupils and companions, among them Francesco Melzi, remain by his side, assisting him daily. Leonardo leaves much of his work and his trust to Melzi, believing his thoughts will be carried forward with care. As he ages, he writes a simple line: "As a well-spent day brings happy sleep, so a life well used brings happy death." The king continues to honor him, calling him to court gatherings, valuing his presence more than any display of skill. Francis considers Leonardo not merely an artist, but a friend. On May 2nd, 1519, Leonardo da Vinci passes away at Clos-Lucé. He is 67 years old. Stories say that King Francis was by his side when he died, holding him with affection. The exact details are uncertain, but the sentiment feels true to how deeply the king admired him. Leonardo is buried in Amboise, in the land that gave him peace at the end. His notebooks and works remain as traces of his presence, pieces scattered across Europe through history, many later reunited. He leaves behind a remarkable legacy: observations that anticipate modern science, art that changed how the world sees itself, a belief that knowledge comes from patient seeing. He spent his life paying attention to everything, to birds, to people, to the mechanics of nature, always asking how the world works and how beauty emerges from truth. He never stopped being curious, even in his final days. Tonight, we honor the quiet and relentless wonder that guided him through every turn of his winding path. His life was not always easy. Not every vision was realized, but his influence reaches us still. Through each question, he refused to stop asking. Now, with Leonardo's story gently told, only one piece remains: a peaceful reflection to lull the mind into rest. Let us linger for a moment in the quiet after Leonardo's lifetime. Imagine the soft landscape around Clos-Lucé, the gardens still, the night sky spread wide over the Loire Valley. The world Leonardo loved is all around: rivers, hills, birds in the air, stars reflected in water. He once wrote that art is never finished, only abandoned, and perhaps his life felt the same. So many ideas still unfolding, so many pages left open. But influence does not require completion. Painters studied his softness of edges, the calm transition of light to shadow. Scientists, long after his time, recognized discoveries he had quietly drawn. Architects and engineers found inspiration in models that waited centuries to be built. And dreamers saw in his designs of flying machines that the sky might one day be reachable. In museums today, people gather around the Mona Lisa, leaning forward, hoping to understand her smile. They do not always know the long journey that painting traveled, held close by the man who made it. It was more than a commission. It was a companion. His inventions, his notes, his letters of ideas, many survived by chance and patience, show us that he never separated art from science. To him, they were one study, a search for how the world truly is. When we think of Leonardo, we often picture him with a brush in hand. But perhaps the truest image is simply this: a man observing quietly, letting the world reveal its secrets through careful attention. Tonight, as you rest, imagine seeing as he saw, noticing the curve of a leaf, the rhythm of rain on stone, the wonder hidden in ordinary moments. Leonardo's life reminds us that curiosity is a kind of light, soft, steady, able to brighten even the smallest corner of the mind. He followed wherever his questions led him, from village paths to royal courts, from the mechanics of machines to the mysteries of the heart, from the observed world to the imagined one. And at the end, he left not a single masterpiece, but a lifetime of them, in drawings, in inventions, in teachings, and in the simple belief that learning never ends. Let the quiet of his spirit wrap around you. Let the night settle gently. The story is told, and the world he studied so closely will wait for morning. You've been listening to Wispy History, where the past whispers and time stands still for a little while. If this story kept you company tonight, let me know what part lingered in your thoughts and tell me where in the world you're listening from. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help these quiet journeys continue. Until next time, rest easy, dream deeply, and remember, history is never really gone. It's only sleeping, waiting to be told again. Good night.